Along a quiet rural highway in Northern California, a passing driver spotted something unusual. Two shapes at the edge of the asphalt, almost blending into the dry summer grass. At first glance, it could have been roadkill or trash. Something you didn't think twice about on these remote, winding roads. But something about the stillness tugged at the man's instinct. Samuel Price, a 76-year-old retired forest ranger, slowed his old blue truck and pulled off onto the shoulder, gravel crunching under the tires. His trained eyes narrowed through the cracked windshield. One of the figures wasn't lying still. It was moving in small, guarded circles. Standing over the other like a sentinel, Samuel stepped out slowly, his boots crunching on the dirt as he approached with caution. Years in the wild had taught him to respect boundaries, especially when dealing with wildlife. But as he got closer, he recognized them. Bobcats, a mother and her cub. The smaller one lay curled on its side, barely breathing, clearly injured. The mother wasn't leaving. Her tawny coat rose and fell with rapid breaths, eyes locked on Samuel, but she didn't flee. Instead, she stayed, one paw placed protectively across her cub's side, her body shielding it from the rising sun. And from whatever else the world might bring, Samuel felt his throat tighten. He reached into the truck for his phone and called the only place he trusted for cases like this: the Redwood Wildlife Medical Center, 30 miles south in the town of Green Bluff. Dr. Nathan Hale answered on the second ring, his voice gruff but alert. "Doc, I've got a situation on Route 142, mile marker 67. Mother Bobcat with an injured cub. She's not leaving. It looks bad."
What?
"I'm on my way," Nathan replied, grabbing his kit. He'd been a wildlife vet for over 20 years and rarely heard that tone from Samuel. He knew it was serious. As he drove, winding past redwoods and ravines, Nathan couldn't stop thinking about the image: a mother refusing to move, even with a human nearby. Back at the scene, Samuel stood guard, arms folded, as he watched traffic slow and pass. The mother Bobcat had settled again, her head resting across the cub's frail body. A few minutes later, a highway patrol cruiser pulled in behind the truck. Trooper Kenneth Boyd stepped out, young, tall, and alert. "What do we have here?" he asked as Samuel pointed. "See for yourself." Kenneth's expression changed when he saw the cats. "She's guarding him. She's been like that since I stopped. Hasn't moved more than a few inches. Growled once when I got too close, but no threat, just devotion." The two men stood in silence until the sound of tires on gravel marked the arrival of Dr. Nathan Hale. The vet stepped out, his weathered face drawn in focus. He approached slowly, keeping low, murmuring quietly, "Hey, Mama, ... It's all right. I'm here to help." The mother Bobcat raised her head and made a low, haunting sound. Not a hiss, not a growl. It was almost a sob, desperate and pleading. Her eyes met Nathan's. He saw something he couldn't explain. Fear, yes, but also trust. He knelt slowly and opened a soft carrier, then another. "Let's get your baby first." With steady hands, he reached for the cub. The mother tensed but didn't lunge. As he lifted the small body, she let out another sound, softer this time. The cub was breathing but limp, with a fractured hind leg and internal bruising. Nathan placed him gently into the carrier, wrapping him in a warm blanket. When he turned, to her, she didn't run. She walked toward the carrier, sniffed her cub, and then looked back at Nathan. "You want to come too, don't you?" he whispered. "All right." He opened the second carrier and waited. The Bobcat stepped inside on her own. The ride back to the clinic was tense. Nathan kept glancing in the mirror at the carriers. The mother, who he later named Luna, never looked away from her cub. She pressed against the mesh, eyes wide, ears twitching every time he whimpered. At the clinic, the cub, now called Ash, was rushed into surgery. Jason Rise, Nathan's young intern, stayed behind with Luna. She paced inside her enclosure, calling out in soft yowls that echoed through the quiet clinic, "She won't eat." Jason said after an hour, just keeps looking at the door. "She'll be all right once she sees him," Nathan replied, hands covered in surgical gloves. He worked quickly but carefully, setting the fracture, cleaning the wounds, administering fluids and antibiotics. It took 2 hours. When he wheeled the cub back into recovery and brought him near the enclosure, Luna pressed up against the bars, making a low chuffing sound. "Let them be together," Jason said. Nathan nodded and gently moved Ash into her space. Luna immediately lay beside him, grooming his ears, curling her body around him like a shield. Jason wiped his eyes. "I've never seen anything like that. Not in wild animals." Nathan agreed. "She's his protector." "That's not just instinct. That's love." Ash's condition stabilized. He remained groggy, favoring his injured leg. But every time he opened his eyes, Luna was there. She barely left his side. She'd only eat if the food was placed beside him. When he was moved for therapy, she'd follow, waiting until he returned before settling again. Jason documented their behavior. "They communicate constantly," he noted. "She hums. He chirps. It's like their own language." Nathan began to face a dilemma. Normally, wild bobcats were rehabilitated for release. But Luna and Ash had become too used to humans and too bonded to each other. "If we separate them, or release only one, I'm not sure either would survive," he admitted one evening. "So what do we do?" Jason asked. "I've got 12 acres behind my house, fenced. I used it for rehabbing coyotes and deer in the past. I've been thinking maybe I keep them there, let them live wild, but protected. Not pets, just free." Jason nodded. "They deserve that." The following weeks were spent preparing. Nathan reinforced the fencing, built shelters, and placed cameras. Local volunteers donated supplies. Trooper Boyd helped transport logs and brush. And Samuel, quiet and steady, returned with a check. "For the mother," he said. "She reminded me of my late wife." When the day came to move Luna and Ash, Nathan opened the carrier on the edge of the enclosure. Luna stepped out first, scanning the trees, then turned and chirped. Ash, now walking with only a slight limp, followed her. They explored slowly, cautious but unafraid. That night, Nathan sat on his porch, sipping coffee, unsure if they'd return. But as the stars came out, he heard soft footsteps. There. They were curled on his porch swing, just like at the clinic. Luna licked Ash's fur while he nuzzled against her chest. It became routine. They'd spend the day in the woods hunting. Roaming at night, they came home. Never caged. Never called. But always returning, the cameras captured their hunts. Mice, rabbits, even a snake once. Ash grew stronger, his limp barely noticeable. Luna's coat thickened. Her eyes brighter than ever. One winter morning, Nathan heard a commotion. He rushed outside to see Luna standing between Ash and a trespassing coyote. Her fur puffed, her body coiled in warning. The coyote lunged and Luna met it head-on, claws slashing, teeth bared. She didn't back down. Jason, who had just arrived, froze in awe. "She's protecting him again," he whispered. The coyote fled, bleeding and yelping. Luna stood her ground, then returned to Ash, inspecting him for injuries. There were none. Nathan approached carefully. "You're all right?" he murmured. Luna led him near. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "You're more than wild. You're family." The story of Luna and Ash spread across the state. Reporters came. Cameras rolled. The clinic received funding to expand. Local schools visited, learning about wildlife conservation. Children left drawings and messages for the bobcats. Years passed. Luna and Ash aged gracefully, still bonded, still wild. They never let anyone else touch them, but they never harmed anyone either. They remained a mystery and a miracle, symbols of something deeper. When Samuel passed at 82, his obituary noted his role in saving 2 bobcats, calling it the proudest moment of his life. Trooper Boyd, now a lieutenant, used the story in every new officer. Orientation, compassion isn't weakness. It's protection. Just ask Luna. Oh, da. Jason opened a sanctuary in Southern California and named it Ash Haven. In honor of the cub who taught him what loyalty looked like, Nathan, gray-haired and slower still, runs the clinic, but he spends Most of his mornings on the porch swing, sipping coffee, waiting, some days. Still hears soft steps behind him. Two shadows slink up beside the railing. Luna, older now, but just as regal, still watches him with those same golden eyes. Ash, calm and strong, still lets his mother curl around him. They stay a while, then vanish into the trees. Again, Nathan never calls after them. He simply watches, hand over his heart. "You saved each other," he whispers. "I just gave you the time." People ask if wild animals can love, if they can bond, if they can feel what we feel. Nathan no longer answers with science. He tells a story. Instead, not one found in textbooks or research papers, but one lived through quiet mornings and long nights. A story about a mother who refused to abandon her child, even as death loomed near, about a cub who didn't just survive, but flourished because someone chose to see beyond species and fear, and about the space they claimed uninvited. Unplanned but now permanent in the weathered heart of an old man, eh? Man who thought he'd already seen everything nature had to offer, only to be humbled by something more powerful than instinct. Devotion. Because sometimes love is not dressed in grand gestures or poetic words. Sometimes love is silent, raw, primal. Sometimes love is a mother bobcat, lying on a cracked highway, refusing to move, shielding her broken child from a world too harsh to care, her ribs visible from hunger, her body tense with pain. But still, she stays, because to her, that life beneath her paw is worth more than her own. Sometimes love is a man who stops when others keep driving, who kneels in gravel afraid, but willing, just because something in his soul said, "Don't. Look away." Sometimes love is a promise kept, not with a contract or a ceremony, but in the quiet return of paw prints on a porch that was never meant to hold them. Muddy prints that appear at dawn, week after week, like a whisper. We remember.